Well, we're standing here in the Female Factory, which is Hobart's only World Heritage Site. It is probably the most important site associated with female convicts anywhere in Australia, and it's an amazing place. The stories of the women who passed through here are just incredible. Most of the crimes that the women committed were very small and minor crimes, so petty crimes, usually against property. So it was mostly poverty driven, minor theft, stealing blankets, stealing food, although in almost every case it was not the first offence, but it was as a result of the circumstances of their lives. The harshest thing for most women was having their hair cut off, so that would certainly happen for the ones who misbehaved on the trip on the way out. The heads shaved or cut very short, and for women of the time, their hair was their crowning glory. It was a major part of their identity, and we know that they were heavily traumatised by that. In crime class, they were given a very meagre diet, so they didn't have the same food. We also had an iron collar. In fact, there were a couple of different types of iron collars, and that was the most cruel punishment of all. It had long metal spokes coming out all around, and it was quite tight. A woman couldn't lie down, couldn't lean back against anything, and it was quite heavy, so about 4 kilos, so that was really heavily feared. We were actually in Yard 1 off the Female Factory, and this was during the assignment period, so the intention was to get the women out to basically be the servants for the colony. So we're actually in the assignment yard right here, so the first class convicts were the ones who were the well-behaved convicts. So if they didn't give much lip on the boat on the way out, if they were well behaved, if they were thought capable of being a servant, they would be sent out for assignment, usually pretty soon after arrival. So they could expect to be cooks, cleaners, just basically domestic servants, sometimes looking after children. In the early days there were very few women. You know, we're talking 6 or 7 men to every woman, so women were very highly sought after. And this probably has something to do with why so many of them were snapped up for marriage. We have descriptions of much older women marrying much younger men. Most of them ended up having a much better life here than they would have done back at home, and this is one of the things that's often misunderstood. Even though I don't want to suggest that the conditions weren't very harsh, very grim, quite extreme, we have to put it back into context. You know, the reality for these women at the time, it was a really tough time for them. So back in England or Scotland or Ireland, there was often very serious poverty, there was hunger, there was famine, there was unemployment. So the women who came here, they were separated from their families, they endured really harsh conditions, but they were very resilient. And we know many of them went on to live very happy lives. They lived longer. Many of them went to marry again, had children, and they basically founded our colony.
Oh.